I did ask specifically to be the person who spoke with you because
Oh.
don't tell the other boys, but you are my favorite boy.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, it's a fun show to work on, and I love being the female, one and only female of the boys.
So I guess my first question is basically, what is your boy's origin story? How was the show and the role pitched to you?
Uh, in how was it pitched to me? Okay, it was pitched to me in an email, in an audition breakdown, and I was really confused in the beginning because they sent over the pilot episode so that we could read it, and then some audition sides. The pilot episode, Kimiko is not in. And then the audition sides, because I play a mute character, it's like it was a scene where I'm held captive and Frenchie is talking me through it. He's cooking for me and I'm telling him, basically, please let me go. But I was very confused because I don't speak. And so I was at first confused, but I knew right off the bat after seeing Seth and Evan and Eric's name on there that I wanted to audition. I mean, this industry is all about who you work with, I think, and who you're inspired by. And I grew up watching Seth movies, so I knew that if it's going to be Eric Kripke, I knew it would be quality. And I knew that if Seth and Evan were a part of it, I knew that whatever experience I would have if I would be cast, lucky enough to be cast, then it would just be a ball. So yeah, I was in from the beginning, and the most interesting part was prepping for the audition, I guess, because I had to have my friend just read the stage direction and Frenchie's lines for me, and I was practicing, rehearsing that way. So thank you, Natasha, because she did most of the work during that time.
So she would read it and you would silently be Kimiko or the female at the time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I had never done something like that before, so I was, in the beginning kind of skeptical with how I could play this character, but as soon as I started rehearsing with her, it kind of felt very natural, and maybe it was in the writing, to be honest. It probably was just such good writing that all I had to do was really like once I figured out who the character was, like sort of listen and take it in rather than, yeah, I don't know. It felt right from the beginning. Yeah.
So speaking of that, how did you kind of find the character? The way she moves, how she fights,
Mhm.
stares people down. How is that?
Yeah.
How much of it was like from the comics, from direction, and from you?
A lot of it was from the comics. I read all of them. There are so many volumes and I read them so quickly. Um, and she has such a distinct look, and so there a lot of it was not up to question. It was pretty clear in my mind how I wanted to play the character, and then I started talking to Eric, and what's funny, I thought she was in the beginning I thought she had like either um DID, so like split
Mm.
personality, or maybe she was a little bit of a sociopath, because in the comic she's just kind of a stone cold killer,
Mhm.
and she's not really given backstory on like why she is the way she is, and she doesn't really show her vulnerable side at all in the comic books. So I thought maybe she has a little bit of like mental illness going on, something like that. But after my first meeting with Eric, he said, completely wrong. He's he wanted Kimiko to be a normal girl that was put into these unfortunate circumstances, and she's just trying desperately to survive. And so in another world, Kimiko would be enjoying, you know, the K-pop bands and the musicals and dating and eating good food and being a normal girl. But she can't have that right now because of her upbringing. And so that made it really clear to me that I needed to go back to the drawing board and completely start anew. But yeah, aside from that, I think for her movements, Eric wanted her to be like the little girl from Wolverine. So very low to the ground, very feral. I come from a martial arts background, so I thought maybe, you know, she would be fighting with her fists, but it's more claws, right? So it's not like a martial artist, like straight backbone and yeah, she was never truly trained in the traditional sense, but she was trained at the like terrorist internment camps, not internment camps, terrorist camps. And so she does have like gun training and all of that, but with her powers, that's where all the feralness came in. And yeah, so she's a lot like Wolverine. And once I heard that, I went to the dog pound, the shelter, and kind of looked around, like dog-like movements. It actually also helped me for like how someone would feel if they were caged, because a lot of the season 1 scenes were like in captivity. So yeah, it actually helped a lot to go and
I think that
observe that.
like knowing that there is going to be backstory coming and that kind of direction is I think it really shines through because like for season 1 on paper I wouldn't have expected the female to be like my favorite character because I'm like, oh, she's the only Asian woman and she can't talk. But
Yeah, I
even
know.
before you
Yeah.
get there, right? Like your performance is like so expressive that really that didn't bother me because I didn't feel like you were being silenced.
Oh, that's so, yeah, that's very, very cool. Thank you so much for saying that.
Of course. Um, and speaking of the stunt work, you do a lot of your own stunts, right? Which is really cool, really badass. Was that always the plan when you started the work, or did they have the option to, you know, do it a different way?
Oh, interesting. You know, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Um, mm, I, did I do any in the audition? There was no fighting portion, so I don't think they knew that I could move. Um, but Eric has a wonderful way of like learning about every actor's quirks and skill sets. And I think that's why Erin was singing in season 2, was it? Yeah, she used to sing, and so he might have put that in there. A funny one is, you know, Black Noir, Nathan, he Eric found out that Nathan had a nut allergy on our way to San Diego Comic-Con one year. And he was like, that's brilliant. We'll put that in. And so that's in the show. And so perhaps like in conversation, I had mentioned, you know, that I grew up doing karate. And so he knew I could move. And I always want to do my own stunts whenever I can, whenever I feel is like right for the character, because you know there are definitely times when my stunt double can do something 100 times better than I can, and in those circumstances, like it doesn't serve the character for me to do it and waste everyone's time. um, so yeah, I try to do it, but not everything. But in our show, you know, it I feel like I'm very lucky in that Kimiko doesn't get beat up that often. And so a lot of times when the actor is the one getting beat up, it has to be the double. So if you're flying through a wall or something, you can't, like, for liability reasons, you can't
Right.
do that. But if you're the one attacking, then it's very controlled. So I've had a lot of fun beating up some stunt guys. They've been very nice to me. Thank you.
So given that, do you have a favorite fight scene that you did?
Yes, my favorite by far is the dildo fight sequence because it took a lot of work. It looks
Yeah.
all fun and games, but it's so technical. There's a martial arts form called Kali, and you use two sticks, and it's an art form. And it took a lot of time to really, really get it right. I was in stunt training every single day that I wasn't working in order to get it right, and um, it's all like you have to, as an actor, I think you have the responsibility to put in the time and effort to rehearse the fight sequences, because on the day, like one or two things might change, because the director wants to, actually we want to shoot it from this direction, or actually can we cut this part and add it to the end, or something like that. And especially when it's physical and you're attacking someone, you have to know it through and through so that you don't hurt anyone on set. So I was very aware of that going into it, and yeah, lots and lots of rehearsal time, but I really enjoy it. Again, I loved doing karate growing up, so I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was also one of my, I thought that was the most hilarious fight scene I'd ever seen.
Yeah, and it's actually like one of the only comedic scenes that Kimiko gets,
Yeah.
because she doesn't really get to be funny that often. So I loved it for that too.
Yeah, I think the other, well, perhaps my favorite Kimiko scene is just the girls get it done scene, just because of the kind of
Yeah.
catharsis that that
Yes.
not that I
Yes.
condone violence, but
But she might have deserved it. I don't know.
there's special circumstances.
Yes.
Um, so what I've heard from some other members of the cast is that there tends to be a lot of room for improvisation on set, place to add your own spin to the scene or to the character. I imagine for Kimiko it might be a little bit more challenging because a lot of it is fighting, and that's not something you can just kind of like spring any surprises on. But is that something you feel able to do on set to improvise, and if there are any examples?
I think that again, like you said, it's a little bit difficult to improvise uh, when you for Kimiko, it's sign language, and it's not ASL. It's we call it KSL, Kimiko Sign Language. So it's a completely made up language that our lovely sign language coach Amanda creates, and because it has to be approved beforehand, it's hard to improvise on the day. I have snuck a few things in where if it's just like a word here, a word there. I have the luxury of having Amanda on set, so I can ask her, actually, I really want to add a word here. Would you be able to create something? And she can, and then she quickly gets it approved by Eric, and then we can do it. But it's hard to do like complete sentences or like lots of changes. Um, but Eric is really wonderful in that he is very, very open to like suggestions or discussions about changing certain things within the dialogue. Um, so as long as he has enough time to look over it and discuss things with you, he's he's kind of like the door is always open, and that's wonderful because like sometimes it there are certain things that like have happened in Kimiko's past that I want to sprinkle into a scene, and I think on other sets, it can be really intimidating to talk to your showrunner about those kinds of things. But um, he's just so yeah, he's the best. Like it's so easy talking to him, so easy that sometimes I forget that like I don't know, I'm like, oh, I'm being too casual. But yeah, he's always open to spicing things up.
Amazing. Uh, so something that I'm curious about is this is an incredible ensemble cast. We get a lot of different pairings of characters. Of course, you and Tomer are so fun to watch, truly the heart of the show, right? But curious if you have, if there's a scene partner that someone that you have fewer scenes with that you'd like to see Kimiko hang out with a bit more?
Oh, of course. I really, really wanted to spend more time with Jack, because I always thought that it would be a really funny like combination if they like went on a mission together or something. So I think within the boys, Jack would be a really fun person to hang out with. On the other side, I think, maybe the Deep and Homelander would be so fun. I I don't even know what the scene would be about, but I would just love to see Chase work as the Deep because he's so different in real life from the character, but he does such a good job. And I always look forward to watching his scenes because he's so funny. So I would just love to like be in the same room as him as the Deep. And then Homelander, I mean, Ant is just a brilliant actor. One of my favorite scenes, oh, was this in season 3 or 2? I can't remember. It's the scene where Becca dies.
Oh yeah,
Spoiler
yeah.
alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Carl as well. The scene between Homelander and Butcher was just like I would rewind it, watch it again, rewind it, watch it again. I was like studying their faces. It was incredible. So yeah, I would love to work with those people.
Yeah, we're lucky enough that we did get to see you break Huey's arm. That was really fun. Season 3.
Yes, yes, yes. See, that kind of thing is very fun.
So this is one that I actually asked Tomer as well. But
Mhm.
of the boys, who do you think is the strongest, and not
Oh,
necessarily physical strength? And I can tell you his answer, but I'll tell you after you say.
I think I am, right? I'm not sure. I might be tooting my own horn, but I really love Kimiko, and she's been through a lot. She's been kidnapped. She went through this terrorist organization camp. She had to go through like physical training. She lost her brother. She's all alone in this world. She can't speak and still doing her thing. So
Still
I would have
smiling.
to, still smiling. So I really think that Kimiko is one of the strongest people in the world. Yeah. Is that a bad answer? I don't know.
No, it's a good answer. He said it was Frenchie, but
Of course he did. Of course he did. That is so on brand with Tomer and Frenchie. That's so funny that he said that.
all right. Well, thanks again, and we can't wait for season 4. We so look forward to it. And again, thank you.
Thank you so much.